Alright, hey guys, it's Luke here, and we are here with the Smoky Mountain Forge signature event finals. And I'll be doing a very, very deep, high level analysis of these matches. I think because some of you guys might have seen that I posted one of these yesterday, but I actually didn't realize, I didn't know one of the larger rule changes recently, which is you can't have your wings stuck in the goal anymore. Right? That's a violation now for being like purposely entangled with the goal, pretty much. So pretty much a lot of stuff I said last with that video was false, so I decided to take that one down and make an entirely new one. Right. So um the Red Alliance is the 2-1-4-5 teams, and blue is 5-7-2-4-9C and 40,000A. Let's get this started with the auto. Okay, so as we can see here, all these robots except for one is all like pretty much Rayguan style front to backs, right? And this one robot here is a basket, so they got more scoring capabilities. Pretty much everyone has the wings. The wings are very, very powerful this season as of now, as we've seen. And looking at this ending position here, we can kind of tell already that this is gonna go to blue, right? This is a blue winning ending position. They have a lot of stuff that they need, pretty much everything they need. They have the three control zones. They have three pipes, pretty much, right? So that's very good. Sorry, I'm a little bit sick, but that's very good for them, right? But what's bad for them is they have, like, this team here has to leave because he can't really stay here and really defend, right? I'll be like kind of hogging up the goal, right? So that gives 2-1-4-5 V an easy push, right? However, it's not as simple as you think because this is kind of this is rough. Like, this block is sticking out a little bit, right? I mean, I would say there's a 50-50, right? Of them getting this push, because they will need to back up and get some speed to get that momentum, to get all those blocks to fly out, right? So there could be time for this team here, 5-7-2-4-9C, to come here and block over here, right? Which wouldn't be a violation, because like you moved from your starting position, and also you can play like actual robot defense here, right? On the top here, I think what's gonna happen is they're gonna just have a a pushing battle here. I feel like I'm honestly I'm not 100% certain on if that's legal or not. Let's see if they leave. If they leave, then we know that's it's not legal, which they don't. So okay, so that is fair. And they made a huge play off here, right? Off the rip, they made a huge play. So another thing here that I'd like to talk about is how you were supposed to do that play. Because I was talking about how you should go over here, right? Um, and I was wrong because I didn't realize that this robot was on the left side of the goal, right? Or whatever. If you're looking from this side, it's the left side of the goal, right? Which means that he should have gone left, which he couldn't have had time for. So there's no way he could have gone left. Uh, but yeah, and you can see he tried to stay in that goal, or stay in the goal either way, and there's just like kind of, this is just really hard because you're not allowed to stay put. So you have to be moving around, so then your opponents, if they can time it well, they can get a really easy D score, like what happened here, right? Because you have to kind of back up with the full force against their force to like make a stalemate. But if you're moving this way, or even if you're slowly accelerating this way and they're fully moving, like, you're gonna get descored, right? So that's kind of hard there. Same thing kind of happened over here, right? With blue winning over here. But still, either way, the blue team here makes a pretty good play and pushes these blocks back out, and red returns that favor, right? So here at this part of the match, right? This is now still in blue's favor, right? But this goal is now in red's favor, where there's pretty much no blocks left. Maybe wondering what to do here. And that's a good question, right? I feel like since you really can't do the lock in the goals anymore, I feel you kind of just have to play areas. You have to play like these areas, right? Which is, I mean, that's pretty intuitive, but it's hard to it's hard to always be on those areas, and I feel like you kind of always have to be on those areas and be watching, right? Got to be watching those areas and giving call outs for those areas. So I think that's what 2145 does really well here, in all these matches. I think that could be one of their strategies. You can see, like, at least for this team so far in this match, he's just been kind of hovering around this goal, and just playing one robot at one goal. And I didn't really see much. Maybe we'll see more of, like, where they gonna leave and do other things, but mostly it's them sticking to their side of the map, right? If you were to cut this field in half, I think so far they've been doing that. I could be wrong though. Let's take a look at what happens later. Right here, now they're both on the same side, right? With still almost a minute left, so a lot of time still. But yeah, now they're both. They're now one's on one goal again, right? So, and then blue here isn't breaking apart. They've been staying at the middle for a bit, right? They have mid control, which is good, but they're soon gonna lose the goal because of red, right? They're able to get into the alley and do a little bit of descoring on that alley, which is pretty powerful. Blue also here pretty smart. They stick their robot through the alley to block them, which is kind of funny, right? That 40,000 A robot long enough to stick through the pipe and get wedged there to block them, getting another pretty decent D score. Right, still very close match with 30 seconds left. Both of these alliances are playing incredibly well. I was talking a lot about how blue was throwing by leaving the pipes before, but I mean, now we know there's not really much you can do there. This really looks more like if you can win your 1v1 on the pipe, which is just how it is, I guess. Just gotta win your 1v1s with the wings, which is much harder to do if you're not good at driving, right? So one thing that I've concluded here is tank drive is overpowered because 2145Z, sorry, not 2145Z, all the 2145 teams actually uses tank drive, right? And that's very, very powerful because it gives you the chance or the ability to only drive one part of the drivetrain back, right? And you might be wondering, why do I only want to drive one part of the drivetrain back when I have both parts, right? Get a 6-motor drive, right? That's 3 motors on each side. Why not drive both sides to give you maximum power? You don't want to do that because let's say if you're wedged with a wing inside of the tube, right? And here's your drivetrain. If you're driving both sides back, right, your robot is going to tilt, and that's going to reduce the overall force because now once your robot tilts, now you're looking like this, and you're moving into the pipe, right? And now you don't have that parallel kind of force you need. So I think what you need is tank drive, so then you can drive one side of the drivetrain at once, and you can even utilize this to make you kind of like a spin motion, right? Give you even more force if you want. I don't know. Maybe you do like 10% power on this and 100% power on the other side, right? Just kind of make sure that you don't have that spin, right? With which a lot of other teams have, right? Because you may be like, oh, like I'm not gonna win a push fight. Sorry, I'm not gonna win a push fight if I just have one side of the drivetrain. Well, I don't agree with that because if your opponents are angled and you're not angled, then your one side of the drivetrain could very likely beat them. So that's just my take. And all of 2145 runs that tank drive config, so that is certainly pretty good. Even just like for straight up just a control kind of stance, right? Here we are with match 2. And here we can see they don't really have a big advantage on that goal, right? This goal is this tube, right? There's not a whole lot. There's no extra blocks no extra blocks there for them to do the domino effect to push all these out. So on this side, blue should be expecting red to leave, right? Do something else, right? There's kind of nothing to be done here. Same thing with blue here. They probably should be leaving to go match load, right? Another thing this red team can do, come over here, help their teammate, right? Which, I mean, I don't know, like I feel like 2145 V, I think this is here, has a really good starting position here, because although blue has those blocks inside the tube, right? They're ready instantly for this for this D score, right? And the thing is, after blue's auto, blue can't push further, right? So maybe something smart to do is leave a block here and end your auto here so you're ready to push. Because since you can't stay put, right? They can't stay put here, which means they have to kind of move back and forth, right? And they can't anticipate when you're gonna push. So if you have this ending position, you can just wait for them to either risk DQ and move around, and you just push whenever they're moving to the other direction. It's like a quick time event, right? Which is what's gonna happen, right? They're gonna move around, and you're gonna get an easy push. And we're gonna see the red team come over here, try to do some mid scoring, right? And the blue team leaves as well. I think the blue team should have gone for match loads here at the start. I think it's very powerful to have some blocks in your robot at all times because of how prevalent these courses are right now, at least, right? You can see 2145 doing some steals over there, stealing some blocks away, keeping those blocks in the intake, driving around. I think that's actually pretty smart. Like, really not too worried about getting scores off, right? Because you're always going to have a lot of chances of these scores. So keeping those blocks in your intake and waiting for the best opportunity to score is pretty smart, right? Because instead of instead of like getting your blocks dropped on the ground via defense, it's better to just get them in. But here, in this situation here, blue plays very well D score here with their teammate, right? They come over here, push, their teammate pushes 2-5 V off, and they get a pretty clean D score on red. However, what to do here, right? They have the control, right? And they gotta just keep red off this tube, right? They gotta make sure red cannot do anything with this tube. So you can see as blue, red is intaking blocks right now. What does that mean? They're probably gonna come here, right? That's the closest, least amount of work points that they can get, right? So as blue, maybe you should get off this robot and go here and defend, because like this robot will have to come here to D-score over this way. I mean, it's a little bit harder, I feel like, than defending this spot. This is all rough though, and I don't know. I feel like red might have anticipated that, because it's like a lot of the blue robots are over here. A lot of robots are over here. You kind of want to avoid the action when you're scoring, right? So they kind of come over here, if that makes sense. I feel like the season's strategy is just so fast paced and hard to really dissect. And they don't even try to score there. They just go for the D score, which is genuinely a better play because there's so many more blues in here that they're not going to be able to D score whenever they score, right? If they score, they're just going to push to the end, and they're like, oh, this is not the perfect opportunity to score. I think that might be the key is finding the perfect opportunity to score, and then everything else is just de-score, right? And I think red does a great job of doing that there. That might be the same thing. This is giving me flashbacks to like the start of Over Under, where everyone's shooting the blocks over, and then you just do a whole lot of defense and push the blocks back over, and then score them into your own goal, and then at the end you start bowling, right? And that for the start of the season there, that is amazing because you're pretty much utilizing your opponent's like time and wasting all their time, which is and then you have a massive score at the end, and that kind of changes the tide of the game. And that, I think, that kind of is shown here a lot with the PSU teams where they're keeping some blocks, I think, in their intakes, and they're just waiting for the perfect time. There's no blocks in that intake, but they scored a couple here, but waiting for the perfect time to score, right? And also multitasking as well. You can see he's like pile of blocks right here, right? So then while he's defending, he's like, gotta get off that pin now. Give me some blocks. Takes those blocks. And yeah, I think if you just watch PSU's matches, they find some very, very good times to score, and everything else is just D-score and playing with the wings. They aren't really super focused on scoring, because as long as they can use these wings to their advantage and get a lot of points reduced for their opponents on those wings, then they don't even need to score that much and they'll still win, which is what happened here. Anyways, that's this one. All right, next up, let's take a look at launch, and kind of the same thing here. I also posted a video about this yesterday, and I also had the rules completely wrong. So we will be looking at launch in the same video, making it very long. And this one went to 3 matches, right? So both of these teams pretty well evenly matched, I would say. These autos pretty good still. And for the first match here, we're gonna see the auto go to, I think it's gonna go to blue. It will go to blue. And we'll look at the starting position, right?
We'll win.
Oh, my bad. We'll look at the starting position again for this match, and if I can stop it in time. Okay. So here, Brett's gonna leave because there's no playmaking opportunity to be made here, and they kind of have to leave anyways, right? And blue here, they should leave too, because they know, like, if they can, because I guess if you're looking over here, you can kind of tell, like, there's no extra block here for them to push on, right? So then they gotta leave, so go match load or something, right? And I feel like they can do faster match loading just because they're closer, right? I think if they're closer, they can get those match loads a little bit easier, which would be really nice. And then they can come back and score, right? So pretty similar to some early season strategies, to be honest. On the top side, it's pretty similar, right? But in this scenario, blue does not have the control of the mid. So in this scenario, they're not super well prepared to use their wing to take this area. So like, if red stays put here, maybe they just go get some match loads. If red doesn't, then they should just go and get the D score. But honestly, like I said in the previous matches we saw, it's very, very good to just have some blocks and then find the perfect opportunity to score. I think that might be where the meta is, right? And we can see them going for an early D score there of mid, and it's okay. Like, they're spreading a lot of red blocks over there, however, so as red, they'll need to remember, like, if they want to grab blocks around the field, playing over here would be advantageous to red, because then they can kind of fill up on blocks as they're defending or scoring or doing whatever, right? So kind of want to keep in your mind, like, where is the biggest cluster of blocks for my team, right? And you want to play over there, because that reduces the amount of time it takes for you to do other things. Anyways, and we're gonna see a whole lot of match loading from 3 of these teams, I think, and pretty smart play from 88909X here, coming in to block. And I think if you saw yesterday's, like, failed video that I made, you'll understand why I think this is an amazing play, because you're coming across over here, and instead of blocking from this side, right, which really doesn't do much, because even if you block from right here, right, nothing changes about this goal. But if you come all the way over here and just push once, push twice, you can push so many more blocks out. So I think this is a very good play that they're going to make here, which they don't, because that's 1658S instead. They're the ones who make that play. But anyways, as a driver, right? They made a little bit of progress, right? It's not like a big progress on this bottom here. I feel like if you're drive coach or if you're just driver, make sure to always do that double D score, right? When you hit the first D score, you want to do it twice to get those blocks out. Okay. Because like if you just do this, the opponents can really easily kind of make that deficit back, or not even deficit. They can just kind of pull that back and make it like nothing happened, right? As we can see there, 1658S got a huge G score there on the top. Let's see how they did that. I think it's just 2-on-1, right? Their teammate pushes the 5-9 2-8B team to the side, and then they're able to get a big D score. And I think they do the same, that the thing that I talk about, right? They D scored here and they pushed it further, right? Because with one singular wing D score, you really can't get all the blocks out, right? The blocks are going to be right here. So then you need to keep going, right? You need to go for a second one. Right. So that's that. And then I feel like another thing that blue should have done here is if it's like, I think the moment they got that D score, right, it was kind of pointless to keep going, right, or to go all over there to help. I think it's better to cut them off from doing more damage by being here, or you can even go over here and try to reduce red's position, right? If you're here, then the red really gets cut off from this place here, and this red's inside of this area, so you really are controlling the whole map. I think field control is prevalent in any season, so them going here is like kind of dumb, because they came over here to get there. I mean, I think this is the fastest path, but also like you're kind of leaving this open for them to come through. So if you were to come here instead, I feel like they wouldn't be able to get through. If you come here and they come here, you can at least come back and block them, right? But if you go forwards here and they come through here, you're just chasing them in a circle, and you really can't do much about that. And that's what happens, right? They chase them in a circle, and they kind of didn't even realize they were going to go D score, and they do D score. They almost hit a second one too, right? So this kind of turns the tide of the match a lot here. Let's see. Red dumps some blue blocks out. Nothing super big about that. They go for a score, right? I feel like, once again, still just draft coaches needs to be calling out when your opponents are scoring, because I feel like it's better for you to block them compared to actually like scoring yourself. I think that's a good thing that PSU always does, is they do a whole lot of defense and they don't score as much, but in return their opponents also pretty much scores nothing, and at the very end PSU is usually the one who has the blocks that are ready to score, right? In this case, for red, right, going over here to play would be smart. So many blocks over here on the ground. For blue, coming over here to play would be smart, right? That's what red does. They go over there, grab a lot of blocks, and honestly, maybe it could be a strategy to only score like 2 or even 3 at once, and then just push it into the middle, because then you don't have the nearly as bad of a time if someone D-scores you, right? I think like you shouldn't be afraid to try to fight for those control zones in the middle tubes, but like I think 4 is like the max you should really be putting in there, and then you just do a little bit of a shove. They kind of overextended there, but yeah, do a little bit of a shove, and that's that. Right. And here, perfect D-score time, right? think they got them pretty much pinned here. It's 1658S, got them pinned. I think this might be a D score opportunity here for red, which they will attempt, which they will also get, right? Instead of this is pretty smart too. I don't think this is hard to see, but also like I guess in the heat of the moment, this might be hard to see. If you come here and try to D-score this side, it won't work because everyone's right here. So then they go around and D-score on this side, right? Like I think in the first, like I guess in the first like maybe half a second, you kind of see him stop here and wanting to D-score here. So I guess in at Worlds maybe a higher level match, like later on in the season, the drivers won't even hesitate and they'll just go around, right? Kind of reducing even the time of that. And we're going to see blue, I think, winning barely. At the top there, they're going to put that block in, which is very smart, right? And that kind of shows you don't really need to have that much to really like turn the tides of a match and pushback. And looking at the start of finals 2, red has a good leverage on this block, so they're probably gonna go for this push here. And as blue, there's not a whole lot you can do here. You got like a plate to push. Maybe you can hold this, but honestly, it's hard to hold. It's really hard to hold. So there's honestly not a whole lot you can really do here. Maybe you just try to hold it at the start, and then you play somewhere else. You like go over here and play in their area where you get match loads. Honestly, this is rough. At the top here, red can't do anything up here because there's no blocks for them to gain that domino effect on. And for blue, that's good, right? So I think for blue, they should try to get in this alley and push these blocks forward, right? I think that's the thing for them to do, because red has to leave, so blue should get in this corner or this alley and then push those blocks over. And the reason why you can't do that down here is very simple, is because red already has that block. Red is closer, so there's no point. So you're gonna just get D-scored. See what happens. Okay, blue has bonus again, so that is quite good for them, right? They can play a little bit safer. Let's see what happens here. So as we also like predicted, blue is gonna leave. Sorry, at the oh my gosh, the speed. Blue is gonna leave at the top, and red is going to hit the D score here. However, on the bottom, I don't know if this blue team is gonna try and go for this D score, this push. I think they should have gone for the push earlier. But because like if they go for the, I mean, either way, like they could have gone for another push here. I feel like they could have gone for the push here because you want to have blocks in your intake at all times. I feel like that's a huge thing about pushback that people might not be utilizing correctly. Is just having blocks in your intake might just, because like with wings, if you have a full goal, you're just asking to get D-scored. Like watching like PSU play, just all you really need is just the control zone and just get rid of everything else, right? Whether it's yours or your opponent's, it's all going to be gone. So having a filled goal is really not a show of skill. It's more just like your opponents are not D-scoring you. And yeah, so you can see they're I think they're flat broke. They're like wedge, but blue is going to be able to kind of pin red here in the corner because red wants to get down here and get these blocks. I guess as a driver, you should also be watching out for plays that your opponents can make, right? And this is a pretty big play that their opponent could make, is getting these 2 blocks and pushing them over, which they're very, very adamant on doing, which they do. And they do that double D score once again, which is very powerful, right? Once, twice. I really like that play. I think I've iterated it enough in the last match, or sorry, in the last video, that I don't know, some of you guys might have saw. But also, yeah, this is why I think that scoring little was good, because you see how he scored very, very little, and Red was only able to D-score 2. If he D-scored a lot more, Red would have been able to D-score a lot more there. So having some blocks in your intake and then just making sure you're getting that control zone is very powerful. And honestly, I think one thing that I don't know if PSG does this, but if you just put in like 2 blocks instead of doing that like double ram that China does, you can just go on the side and then use your wing to push them into the middle, and then keep more blocks in the intake, right? I feel like keeping the blocks in the intake is very, very powerful. Because that means that even if you get D-scored, you can still keep playing. You don't really like have to step out of the game for a little bit. You can just keep playing. Anyways, Red gets kind of stuck on a block here. Blue should just let them be. But yeah, I think this match, there's not really a whole lot more to be said here. It's gonna go to Red, right? Because they're able to hold that top goal. Anyways, match 3. It's gonna be a Red win this time, so much better position for Red this time. And looking at this one, once again, Red can do this push, so Blue should probably just leave and grab match loads. And from watching these matches, my take is just hold on to your match loads, only score 1 or 2 at once. Sorry, 2 or 3, not 1 or 2, because with 1 you can't take control zone usually. So 2 or 3, right? And then you want to push them into the middle with your wing. The top here, same story. Red has a push ready to be initiated. However, Blue has more to lose here, so we'll see what happens. Blue could go for D-score and middle too. Middle is pretty well in Blue's possession here. This final split 3, so a lot of stress is on the line, so we expect to see more mistakes happening here. However, Red does not want to make mistakes. They push over here, push Blue away, huge D-score. Right, massive D-score. I don't even know how fast, like how you can really see this coming this fast. Like if they're coming like this, I don't know. Sorry, I sped forward again, but I guess like if they're coming like this, I don't know if you just leave, like because if you kind of assume what they're doing, you can kind of think like, oh, like if they're coming to this goal, they're going to be assessing their teammate, right? So rather than being stuck in this corner, and being forced there for many minutes or seconds, why not just like leave and do something else, right? I feel like you might just want to leave there. It's really hard to see that happening so quick, and it's risky to leave. So, like, I'm not really saying like they did anything wrong. They didn't really do anything wrong. It just happened that their opponents played good like teamwork. Here, once again, double D score, super nice, amazing play. And that's why you don't want to just have score everything, right? I feel like it's so much more powerful to just score a little bit and just push it into the control zone and have a lot of blocks just ready. I feel like that's like the peak meta right now is just keep like, because like think about it, because if you have like 10 block capacity, right, and then you shoot 2 at a time, you can play 5 rounds, like you can play like 5 like D score or just like rounds before having to refill, if that makes sense. So that gives you 5 opportunities where you can lose the goal and you can get it back in a very short amount of time without having to leave, right? And your opponents, if they like score a lot a single time, they won't be able to keep up because they'll have to go grab blocks and you'll have the blocks. And anyways, I just feel like there's probably times to score a lot, like towards the end of the match, like maybe like 5 seconds left when a goal is not being watched, like that this one up here, right? For the last five, you can go and score a lot, and that will definitely turn the tides of a match. But I think for the majority of the match, it's probably really good to just score two at once, and then we use the wing to push it into the middle. And that's it.